If you could please turn your cell phones on silent for the duration of this show. Video and photography is allowed, but make sure the flash is off. If at any point you need to exit, please use the entrance exit to your left. And then if you have a paper program, make sure to check out QR code there, has bios of cast and crew. Lastly, also in your program, we do have a quick content warning. There are flashing lights in this production and depictions of violence. Thank you so much for coming, and enjoy Antigone. Sister, it is unluckiness that piles and piles upon us, all stemming from Oedipus, that wretched father to his wretched children. It is you and I that always suffer under unbearable burdens, and now, have you heard of the law that Creon, the new king of this house, has declared so publicly? Tell me what you make of it, and how you suppose our uncle's edict will affect the peace of our two dead brothers.
Nobody's bothered to tell me a thing, hopeful or horrible, since I witnessed that double death. I do know that the instigators killed out without a thought of our poor bleeding brothers, and that being all I know, I cannot form an opinion. Which is why I want to tell you this in secret. What are we talking about, Antigone? Fills you with a terrible grief, whatever it is, and I'm flooded with unease.
I am talking about burying bodies. With our uncle, we watched the burial of our brother Eteocles and mourned together. But our other brother, Polynices, his blood equally beloved, curdles from his wounds and in the heat of the sun, and wriggles with satisfied maggots as his body lies unburied. That's Creon's prerogative, this wide-open shame that he forced upon every citizen of his little country, even upon us, Polynices' own two sisters. That is what we must talk about, sister. Whether you will honor the house of your father or choke your own legacy with cowardice.
Antigone, what do you suppose I should do after all that has happened and all that has been said?
Conspire with me in what I know we must do.
And what is that, sister? This sounds like a most unhappy task.
Shoulder to shoulder, we will pick up our brother's corpse together.
Antigone, are you kidding? We can't bury Polynices, it's forbidden.
The blood of our father runs in you and me onto the dirt where our brother lies. whether you choose to acknowledge that binding tie or not.
You are a woman, a girl, wallowing in insanity. He's banned this burial explicitly.
In a band like this, Creon has no right to make. My free will is my own.
Don't tell me you've forgotten who we are. How Oedipus, our father, tore out his own eyes in liquid shame, then took us into his arms, blood instead of tears running down our backs onto this very floor. Because his wife and his mother were one woman, she hung herself up by the neck, and now her sons, our brothers, have killed each other in some stupid, fucking useless quarrel. We are the only ones left, and there will be nothing but more suffering if we disobey our uncle's verdict. Creon is more powerful than the both of us combined, and he will have his way in this house about things much more terrible than this. You speak of free will, sister. I am not free, and I have no other will than to pray on my knees and try to forgive our brothers and our fate. Believing we can do more reeks of delusion. Insanity.
Fine. I wouldn't accept your help even if you did change your mind. Waste your grief on whatever you desire, but I will put my brother's corpse into the ground. It would be honorable to die for such a holy crime, because after life, he and I will be curled together in the same deathbed. Death with him is longer than life with you, and if you want to insult the gods with your lack of action, then that is your choice.
I am not trying to do what is wrong, but while this grief rips me in two, I have no strength to deny his cause.
I hear nothing but an ugly excuse, an excuse I would rather die than make myself.
You shock me with how adamantly you refuse to grow old. I see nothing but terror.
Terror. Your eyes deceive you, my dear sister. There is no terror that is not only a reflection of your own.
If you must do this, at least do it quietly. I will never tell a soul.
There will be no more quiet. And if you do not proclaim my crime to as many people as you know, I would despise your cowardice even more.
The heat of your angry heart burns me. But when I look into your eyes, I see nothing but frost.
Because I refuse to waste the passion that I could more readily give to the gods above.
You are a woman in love with the impossible.
And I will reach and reach for it until I am exhausted.
When you know you will fail, you try only out of stubbornness.
And it is because of that belief, dear sister, that you are an enemy to both me and my dead brother. I would despise my life if I saved it as you do yours. Because when you grow old and do sail to the shadowy shores of Hades, Polynices will greet you with only hatred and pity.
Oh, Apollo. Oh, sunlight. You have finally returned to Thebes, our beautiful city of the 7 gates.
You have come over the wide waters, and the enemy flees before you, before the white shield, before the dreadful suits of armor.
The white wings of your descent and the gleam of your armor proclaim themselves loudly against the traitorous voice of Polynices.
Like the eagle of Zeus did you descend, to protect, to defend.
The behind our seven-gated castle turned to beat a retreat, afraid of the blood certain to spatter across their faces.
Ares snapped at their heels in pursuit, the city at his side, draconian and undefeatable.
For that had spoken with arrogance, with violence, without justice. Zeus condemned such polluted tongues.
The treacherous army descended upon Thebes, bent on her destruction, brandishing their swords and their spears.
But as indifferent victory approached them, Zeus struck them with a lightning bolt, crippling them with his wrath.
The wind descended, billowing, declaring the Theban victory like a war god.
With a series of blessed days on our side, we won a change of fate. And on the enemy's side was only the poison of bad luck.
7 of our brothers against 7 of theirs. The sound of perfidious, fraternal war echoing against the 7 gates of Thebes.
Despite their respective skills in battle, the armies left their dead as prizes for Zeus, their armor gleaming trophies.
2 brothers with the same 2 parents, 2 gunshots.
They took up the same weapon and went with the same penchant for destruction in their bid to win the crown.
The blessing of Ares was granted to us, and Thebes shakes with dances of victory.
The Theban spirit has never been stronger.
We will take the lead of Dionysus. We will dance until memory of this violence slips away, until it may have never happened at all.
We will rock the floor under our feet until the night meets the dawn.
He's coming! We are lucky to have his strength in these difficult times, but why is Creon here so early?
Our lives were thrust into the dark pitch of chaos, but the gods have returned us to lawfulness as light. Even as blood rusted to our streets, you 3 remained loyal to this family and to myself. That is why I've called you here today. As those 2 cursed sons splattered blood over Oedipus's already drenched legacy, you behaved with dignity. And because of their deaths, I now wear the crown of this house. Integrity, efficacy, his labor. This is how a man defines himself. When he provides, when he provides, he must speak loudly, demand ethicality, lest immorality take root within the family. Zeus is my witness. If my people are unarmed, I will carry one sword for them all. I will never shake the hand of an enemy of Thebes. A steady ship beats her smooth course. Only with loyal friends can she navigate well. And so, Eteocles of this house of Oedipus has been buried well and with full honors. It is for him, for his service and the gratitude we owe him, that I have made my decree. Every divine burial rite is his to receive. But his brother, Polynices, he will not be buried at all. He will rot in the mouth of scavenger birds. The grass beside him will wither with polluted blood. As long as I rule, no traitor will enjoy the same rewards as a man of justice.
It is in your purview to make decisions for the living.
Yes, and I suggest you heed them well.
This task is weighty for a man with much to do.
That is not your problem to worry about. Besides, I already have people deployed to oversee the body.
What can we do to help?
Don't imagine disorder where there is none, but don't stand by if stability begins to crumble.
What man would purposely break your law, knowing full well it would get him killed?
Triumph and love are powerful motivators. Yes, even love. They've often driven men to their own destruction.
I'd be lying if I said I ran here. I walked, stopping to look at every tulip, wishing I too could stand still and rooted in the soil. I turned back and forth as I walked, stopping to kick at every stone. I thought and rethought every damned step of my path, my heart pulsing, asking myself, what are you doing? Why are you stopping? What if somebody tells Crayon before you do? My soul's nagging made bile rise to my teeth, and my lips shivered. My thoughts turned in circles, and my stomach flipped across every road, so no matter how straight the path, it felt long and winding. This is why I walked. I implore you, Creon, please don't make me suffer any more than I already have.
What news do you have for us?
Before I speak, know that I played no witness to this unpleasant act, nor do I know who did. Let me be perfectly clear. I am innocent.
You are speaking nonsense. What is this unpleasant news you've boxed yourself into telling?
A box indeed. I don't want to misspeak. My mind itself avoids the subject.
Spit it out then and leave. Bolster whatever little strength you have.
Creon. The body. The body has been buried. There was a light dust sprinkled over the corpse, enough to be considered a proper burial.
Who would do this?
There's no way of knowing. The soil was packed into the ground and undisturbed, and there were no marks to be traced, not even footprints or the wheel tracks of a cart. When the first watch alerted us, our eyes grew wide to the scene. No scavenger had left any trace of its hunger, no dog had tried for a meal, but the boy was buried. Quickly, we turned on one another, pointing the blame at anyone who could be guilty, and each man defended himself, ready to walk on hot coals, put a hand to the stove, and swear on any god their innocence. Nearing the brink of violence, we had no choice but to tell you. Any more delay, and we ran the risk of you hearing it elsewhere. My reliable misfortune has brought me the short straw, and now my anxious face must look into yours.
I see in this story the mark of godly influence.
On Zeus's name, shut your fucking mouth! I apologize. There is nothing that makes me more irritable than a head rattling around without a brain. How dare you disrespect the gods and claim that they give even a single thought for that boy Polynices? Do you think his flesh rots young because of his good deeds? Would the gods love a man who runs with fire across his own land and uproots its laws? Do you think Zeus loves deviants? Well, impossible. There are people in this house who've planted the seeds of discontent about my leadership because they ache to be traitorous. No! They refuse the fair hand of justice I extend towards them and lash their heads against some invisible yoke. A lawful existence is inadequate to them. Whoever committed this crime was bribed. Money. It is the most awful thing mankind ever dreamed up. It's money, not armies that robs and burns homes. It's money, not television that drives children away from their families. It's money that curdles the mind's milk. Its rotten stench brings shame to women and lures men to evil. But every spoiled soul knows his judgment day. As long as I'm under Zeus' oath, if you do not find the criminal who did this and bring him to me, death's embrace will be too kind for you. I will string you up, and you will confess that you yourself committed this crime. That will teach a little man not to fall into the seductive bribery he stumbles upon. Wickedness always wears that clever mask.
May I speak, or will you let me run?
It is your speaking that annoys me.
Hard to hear or hard to believe?
Should it matter to you the matterings of my annoyance?
Annoyed at me or at the criminal?
You are a loud little thing. Why are you still talking?
I may be loud, but I didn't do it. I didn't do this crime.
If I turned out your pockets, they'd jangle with money.
Please, when judgments come quick, they often come wrong.
Be any magistrate you like. But if you don't find the malcontent who did this and drag him through my doorstep, I will be your final judge.
I fear that finding the man behind this crime may prove an impossible task. And if that's the case, I'll never return here. I'd be lucky enough to escape once.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends. So oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? Oh Lord, won't you buy me a color TV? Dialing $4 is trying to find me. I wait for delivery each day until 3. So, oh Lord, won't you buy me a color TV? Oh Lord, won't you buy me?
Look at that. What's all this?
I don't understand.
Antigone, child of the sad Oedipus. What have you done?
You're not the king's criminal.
She was found bearing the body. Where's Crayon?
There.
What is she doing here?
Crayon. When I was here last, I swore I'd never again return. But promises made quick are usually a lie. Here we have a hardy example. Last time I was here, you threatened to string me up, and I swore you'd never again get close enough to do so. But Joy was closer still, and so was the criminal. My own skill has brought her to you. She's yours to punish, but I believe I've earned my freedom, have I not?
Where did you find her?
She was found burying the body, just where we left it.
Do you know what you speak of? This is a grievous accusation.
My own eyes saw her sprinkling dirt on the corpse. Is that not clear?
What exactly did you see?
Look. After I ran from her house, we gathered together and returned to the corpse. I dusted the dirt off of the softening body and left him naked. But the rotting flesh had begun to decompose, so we stumbled upwind, holding our noses. The sun rose high overhead, beating down with an unbearable heat. And all of a sudden, our camp was engulfed by a tornado of ferocious dust. Each man had a layer of dirt coating our bodies, our eyes crusted shut with sand. Branches seized and whipped at our faces, and dust coated our tongues as we opened our mouths in prayer to the gods. And when the storm settled, just as sudden as it had arrived, we saw her. She was shrieking over the naked body, cursing those who had left his skin to burn. She poured dirt and libations over the corpse, and when we overtook her, she showed no signs of resistance and denied nothing. And while my heart swelled at the knowledge of my own resurrection, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of her sadness. But I suppose this is how grief infects the living.
You, with your head down, look up at me and speak. Will you admit your crime, or will you try to deny your guilt?
Why would I deny it?
You're free to go. Do what you like with my mercy. Antigone, tell me straight. Did you know of the law forbidding this crime?
Everyone did.
And still you choose disobedience?
Whose law was this to begin with? It was not the law of Zeus or justice, it was yours alone. And what do your laws mean? They're not as powerful as the gods that were made not just for yesterday or today, but forever. By those standards, you are vastly unimportant to me, Crayon. Why should I be afraid to disobey one man's will when I do so on behalf of the divine? Zeus has already heard me beg for death, because with a misery as great as mine, I would rather belong to a world bereft of life. But to see the body of Polynices, my brother, rotting in shame and disrespect, that is not something I can bear to live with. And if you think I'm a stupid woman, then perhaps it is you who is a stupid man.
She is wild and stubborn, as was her father Oedipus. They both refuse compromise.
The harder the mind, the easier to crack. A brittle piece of iron is weak, and the head of every wild horse dips low under a tough rein. Not only did she know what she did it out of arrogance. And look, even now she stands proud of her own wickedness. If I allow her to stand strong in this, then what am I? Then Antigone is the man. No longer is she family of mine. She and her mad sister will pay. Get Ismene here immediately. She's already lost her mind. I know what she's done, but let's hear it from her. The only thing I hate more than a traitor is a liar.
I'm already here. Kill me then, or is there something else you need?
I have it all, and I want nothing more.
So what are you waiting for? I find no pleasure in your words now, and I know I never will. And I'm sure that the feeling is mutual. Yet you speak of iron and wickedness. There is nothing stronger than the devotion I have for my own brother. Everyone would shout their agreement with me if only they weren't so scared to be heard. Your power is wielded through fear alone.
You're the only one who sees this.
They see it too, but they're too afraid to let it show.
Aren't you ashamed to be so unabashedly wrong?
I'm on the side of my family and my brother.
Eteocles was your brother too.
You're right. Same father, same mother.
How do you honor one when this is a disgrace to the other?
Neither corpse would care about this.
That might be true. If one weren't a traitor.
He is not a traitor, he is my brother!
Polynices betrayed Eteocles. He betrayed our family!
Death is death in the eyes of Hades.
But they are unequal in the eyes of the living.
How do you know what matters in the world of the dead?
The underworld will not turn a hated enemy into a beloved friend.
I am concerned with love, not hatred.
So love the dead if you're made to love. But so long as I'm alive, I will not be manipulated by you or any other woman.
But look, here comes Ismene, weeping for her sister's fate.
Her face is wet with storms of grieving.
Look at this viper, slithering in and shedding the deceitful skin of her false tears. I never realized I allowed 2 traitorous women into my house. Come here. Now! Will you deny your crime?
Yes, I did it. I'm as guilty as she is.
No, that's not right. You refuse to even touch his body.
Sister, we stand here twin ships at sea. I'll sail by your side no matter the weather.
You know well that my guilt is my own. I will never let you claim with words what you refuse to do with deeds.
Let me die with you. Let me do what I know is right.
Creon only needs my death, and Polynices waits only for me. The two of us will be a happy pair.
My life is nothing without you.
You'll have your uncle whose needs you care about more anyway.
Does it bring you happiness, my suffering?
Sister, do not speak to me of suffering.
So tell me what to do. What will make you love me again?
Let go. I cannot love what makes me sick, and I do not envy your place.
Can we not go together?
No. Because you want to live and I need to die.
Let me explain why you don't.
No! Because they agree with you, but they agree with me.
We're here now, both alive.
You are alive. Death has had its hands on me for a long time now. I've already died for our living, and they have no use for you.
These children. One has just lost her head. The other never had one to begin with.
Grief drives even the warmest hearts to madness.
And still you choose to associate with a sister who cannot stand to look at you.
What is my life without Antigone?
You heard her. She's already dead.
You really would kill your own son's bride.
I would never give my son an evil wife.
You don't find a love like theirs, Swives. Poor Haman. Look how your father destroys your life.
Shut the fuck up about my son.
It is you who kills his bride.
Hades stopped this marriage, not me.
So she will die.
Yes, she will die. And you will help. Come with me now. Let's tie them up before they have a chance to escape. Even the bravest man wants to flee when he's touched by Hades' cold hands.
It is true that those who live without tasting the bitterness of evil lead the most blissful lives.
Once the gods have cursed your life, you'll struggle all the way to Hades.
A cursed family receives disasters like a thrashing ocean wave, scraping their knees against a deep black sand, frigid and dark, pushing you underneath until you collapse.
This is the fate of the house of Oedipus. You and I have both known that for a long time.
Generations of grief pile on each other endlessly, with no sign of relief for us.
There is a light that promises to flood this house, and yet it barely dares to peek around its corners. Is it afraid of the gods, lying in wait for some fresh disaster to strike? Because every step forward is an exhausting step back.
Oh, Zeus! He watches all of us.
And yet there's no ignorance that can convince him to turn away.
Your light is our law, keeping order in this home. It never has dimmed.
Hope grows, regardless of the light, and brings comfort to those in the dark. But it is not enough for those doomed by their fate.
Hope allows men to walk on hot coals without knowing their own pain.
Yes. And as many before us have said, madness befalls those who are enticed by evil. And catastrophe will soon follow.
Here is Haman, your only living son.
Has he heard about the loss of his bride-to-be?
He must have. How sad he looks.
He
carries with him a face of mourning.
Soon it will all be clear. Haman, my son, are you aware of the griefs that come upon you? Are you outraged that your bride has chosen death over you?
Your respect is more important to me.
No, please. It is a fortunate man to have a son so amenable to his father's advice. Is that not the reason a father has his children? To love his friends and hate his enemies as he does? A wicked child casts a shadow on the throne and fills the enemies' mouths with laughter. Don't let a woman's attention cloud your sound judgment, my son. A bad woman in the house is like a frigid frost. To have an evil wife is to walk upright with a bleeding wound. Spit her out, son. If she wants to marry, let her marry Hades. Everyone else agrees with my decree. She will not make a liar out of me. I will kill her! If my own family cannot respect me, why should anybody else? And without them, who am I supposed to lead? It is a useless man who disregards law and order. Regardless of circumstances, a ruler must be obeyed. Yes, obeyed even in doubt. That is what a good leader is to his people. Even in the tempest, there he remains. Anarchy is the mother of all evils. She shatters families. She ravages homes. She melts conviction from even the most loyal soldier. Behind every successful man is diligence and obedience. Every citizen should strive for his standard, and no woman should go above her station.
Unless we are mistaken, that makes sense to us.
Father, the gods have given each man what he requires most in this life. Reason. You might be correct, but others can be too. I have heard whispers collecting in this city. They cannot speak with candor because you don't want to hear it. But I can see them mourning her death, saying she is not a criminal. She is devoted to her brother and deserves honor rather than shame. She could not have left the corpse unburied to be torn apart by vultures. Should she not deserve the highest golden honor? I don't mean to impose with this counsel. Your happiness is my only desire. What more could a son want than his father's good fortune? And what more could a father want than his son's success? You said it yourself. A man who thinks only he is wise lives a life where he is only empty. A man with real wisdom accepts also the wisdom of others. Observe the trees in a storm. Those that bend with the wind keep their branches, while those that refuse to sway are torn apart and ripped from the ground. Stop this senseless anger and bend. A younger man may still have wisdom to offer you.
Listen to each other. You both make honest points.
Are you suggesting this young, unseasoned man has anything to offer?
Consider my wisdom, Father, not my age.
And this wisdom of yours is about bending to delinquency, is that it?
Yes, bend, but not to that.
But she broke the rules. She is immoral. She is a criminal.
You are the only one with this opinion.
Do I strike you as one to waver for the opinion of others? I am my own man.
You are behaving like a child.
Should I trust the counsel of others over my own integrity?
Is the city you alone?
I am the one who leads it.
If you think so, then go to the desert and rule an empty kingdom.
He's taking the side of a woman.
Only if you are that woman, because I am taking your side.
Horrible child. Treacherous son! You're the very worst there is!
This is not treachery. You disparage justice.
Is it an act of injustice for me to defend my rights?
These are not rights you defend.
Vile. Disgusting. Even she is more of a man than you.
Perhaps more than both of us, then.
You're defending her, even in her absence.
I defend justice for those alive, dead, and immortal.
You'll never marry this woman while she lives.
Then she will die, but her death will not be the only one.
you so bold as to threaten me?
Does it threaten you, my contradiction?
You dare give me advice when you have only fantasies of justice?
You want to be heard, but not to listen.
Go. Be her plaything while you still have the freedom to.
If I didn't know any better, I would say you are nothing but cruel.
Is that what you would say? Is it really? Get in here! Bring our Antigone out! Bring her here so he can watch her die.
I will not see her die, and you will not see me live.
He has dashed off in mad rage with much on his mind. Let him go.
He can storm away as many times as he pleases. It won't change my mind.
Do you really mean to destroy them both?
The sisters? No. Ismene is too spineless to help even herself.
But Antigone, how do you plan to kill her?
I'm going to bury her. Right under our feet. I'll provide enough food for her there, lest suspicion be thrown upon us. I'm going to bury her alive. Let her pray to Hades on her road to hell. I certainly won't hear her cries. Maybe she'll learn she's wasting her time loving a brother who cannot save her.
In all battles, man fights. Victory is certain in his self-loyal mind. But in the pitch of swinging swords, the blade of love unseams every soldier at his stitches. In all battles, love is the winner. Love gets all rewards. Love is inescapable, even to the immortal gods. In a flood, it suffocates the lungs with war cries. Love infects the strongest minds with a sickening madness.
Love, you took a beating heart and you converted it into wickedness.
Love froze the warmth between father and son. What's left is an icy winter. Love sits upon his throne and points to what is right.
Such a beautiful and a terrible thing to serve under this Aphrodite.
These lamentations echo those of Thebes and of mine. But each must pay attention to the lesson our eyes tell for the heart. House of Creon.
Darkness greets me at the end of the tunnel. The last sleep is the longest, or so Hades promises, and when I close my eyes, I see the shores of Acheron creeping closer and closer. And I hear no wedding march playing for my marriage to death. Yes, death will be my husband now.
Antigone, you are beloved in this house, and healthy, and so very young. The underworld opens its arms to one still living. There is another choice for you to make.
There was once a visitor, the daughter of Tantalus, who died an excruciating death. Ivy grew through her arms and ripped age and welded her skin to the wet rock. And tears trickled down the leaves and choked in her throat. In her face I see my own.
But you are no god. None of us are.
Mortals can't bear that kind of doom.
It is unbearably cruel how you mock me with advice I cannot take. House of Creon, people of Thebes, radiant city and her holy grounds, bear witness to my fate. I am taken to a wooden grave, and now you say that neither the underworld nor this one above desires my wretchedness.
You stumble forward too heavily. You trip on the heavy throne of justice.
Perhaps your anguish is meant to pay the price for your father's transgressions.
Do not speak to me of my father. He crawls through my brain every night without your petty reminders. The famous house of Labdacus, Cadmus, Oedipus, that triple-pronged curse! My parents soaked their marriage bed with shame, man and wife, the same as mother and son, and I am their twisted daughter, sick since birth. Only a few things have ever brought me comfort. So as the hand of death reaches for my throat, my final choked thoughts will be of my brother.
This devotion to your brother is honorable, but your betrayal hurts the living. If only you would turn the face of your devotion to the rest of your family and to the man whose authority you live under. Because when his rules are trampled, I see a terror on their faces which I can't stand.
Unsung, unwept, undead. My last goodbye will be to the sunlight. God, are there no more friends to mourn my death? Does my death really inspire nothing?
Enough of this. If lamentations could change death's mind, they'd never stop. Take her. Wall her up in a grave's embrace. Do well what I've told you. If she wants to craft lies or get married, she can do so under our feet. My hands will be clean.
Oh, my wedding tomb. My prison has been carved, and I claim this inheritance from the many of my house who have gone before me, and who now stare up at me. Is this what death feels like? A room made of eyes. In Hades, my mother and my father will greet me, and they will hold me. So too will my beloved Antigone. I've honored them with libations and rituals, and I've ached for them to exhaustion. But it is you, Polynices, who I have suffered for. I wonder if there is nothing more to be said about me. I know that I could have suffered through a life with Creon had you been my husband or child. Another could have been found or made. But with two dead parents, I will never have another brother. Some things are beyond the law, and the gods agree with me, but in my desolation, who are they for me to look up to when death has been made my only option?
Hurry up.
Those words ring the bell of my death. I hear the stomping of my fate.
Fate? What kind of fate is this, Antigone? You've built your grave, not me. And all that? For nothing, really.
Ancient gods, silent watchers, my land of stillness and inaction. This is the end. I am finished. on your last princess. Look how I suffered because I kept my reverence to the gods. Because I am my death's only messenger, and I have spoken. My life is my own, to live or to take. And you will not make a corpse out of me.
They locked Danae in a tomb, too. Zeus tried to overpower her fate, but nothing escapes its call.
When the king of the Edonians violated the name of Bacchus, he stumbled into an early grave. And within the darkness, his anger dusted away, piece by piece, until nothing was left but a little thimble's worth of madness.
And Salmydessus, the man who hated strangers, saw his 2 sons murdered by that woman called Mother. She cut to their eye sockets with her red fingernails.
Unluckiness, that is all. An unlucky woman trapped in her marriage bed, children of Athenian royalty, her father was reckless and unkind, misfortune guided her hand.
And it is a cruel fate that has buried your love. I am Antigone.
Translation's 8.
The answer there is ridiculous.
The judges have to take control of their own court system. Exposure to violence, physical, sexual.
Men and fathers to be a part of their children's lives. Let me talk to you about a program.
These children, disruptive behavior is very different than criminal behavior.
In some versions of 1 Timothy, it's the desire of this, not the love of it, that causes trouble. Kristen?
What is money?
Right?
Ensure that we are dealing with
a good man, Mario. A man that can be trusted.
I know this room well. You have led me here. Now let me lead this man.
Why are you here, Tiresias?
Listen to the seer and you will understand.
You've yet to steer me wrong.
And never will I.
What have you seen?
Know this, Creon. Your fate balances on a razor's edge.
What's the matter with my fate?
Terror! As I crouched in the dark of yesterday's night, my silence was shattered by the screams of a dozen curdling birds. Their shrieks were unintelligible, and I could not hear the meaning of their cries. But I felt a liquid horror rattle through my veins. A thrashing of wings beat through the truth. Death gulped the air. I went to my altar to check in my offerings and saw that although the fire blazed on, the meats remained unscorched. The flames began to flood with an oozing, bubbling sap. The boy
showed me this. He is guide to me as I am to him. It is your decrees, Creon, that have birthed a wicked sickness into this house. The body of Polynices is defiled, the birds feast, and his glistening congealed blood, and are seeped with madness from the inside out. Understand this, Creon. All men make foolish mistakes, but it is stubbornness that makes man a fool. This dead boy feels nothing. So who do you hurt when you puncture his body with fresh wounds? My vision is sound. I urge you to listen.
I see. What an insolent archer the arrow of your prophecies have made you. How disappointing that you're no different from all the others, trading my fate through a dirty market. Well, if you're searching for that prophet, you'll find me barren. Even if Zeus' eagles rip the flesh from his bones and fly directly to the gods, I will never bury that boy Polynices. Those who spread falsities under the mask of good intentions are always punished.
Falsities? Do you mean? Has no one told you?
Told me what?
I will say this much. Only an unwise man refuses to rethink.
Self-doubt is a great sickness.
You are infected, no matter what you claim.
I have no need to argue with a soothsayer.
Yet you ignore my warnings and accuse me of base dishonesty.
The tribe of prophets is fond of profit.
And what about the tribe of tyrants?
Do you know who it is you speak to?
I speak to the king, whose life I hold in my hands.
Tiresias, you are wise, but you are wrong.
But you push me to deliver the darker message.
Reveal it then, but not for your own reward.
Do not speak to me of my reward.
You will not change my mind on this.
Creon! A bloody sun will neither rise nor set before one body becomes a pile of corpses. You have entombed a living girl down below, and a lifeless boy with the living. Your law is a violation to the gods, and they seethe with rage at the very sight of you. Is my bribe-lined speech satisfactory to Creon now? Lead us home. He can vent his rage to the walls if that is what he wishes. Soon they will be the only pitiful thing left to listen. He's gone now.
What a terrible prophecy he spoke of.
We must consider the truth. Since long before Oedipus reigned, his prophecies have never proven false.
This is terrible. I cannot go back on my word, but I fear that this path ends in horror.
Creon, you need advice.
Tell me what to do. I will do it.
Pull her from that grave and put the boy in his.
Do you think less of me if I concede?
No, but I will think less of you if you delay. The gods are quick to punish a stupid error.
I have never been a man to surrender. I didn't imagine it would be so painful. But I must give way to Zeus. It's the only way.
Then fly, Creon. Do this task yourself.
I will go. I will go and set her free, even as I tremble with fear. Come with me now, all of you. Find something, anything. Find an axe. I've changed my mind.
House of Creon. Life moves far faster than its seasons, and we must be careful with both our praise and our lamentations, because fate cannot read between the lines of moral code. Consider Creon, a man I used to envy. He wielded the strength to cleave his enemies and the willpower to piece them back together. He rode his own ship. Not even a man's status nor his wealth can save him in the end. When you've squandered your joy, you're as good as a corpse. Your life is nothingness.
Tell us what you're talking about.
Death. And the fault of those alive.
Who dies?
Whose
What
fault?
do you mean?
Haman is dead.
Dead. By whose hand?
His own. Gripped with grief.
The prophecy was true.
Look, here is Creon's wife, Eurydice. Is she here by chance? Or has she heard about the death of her last beloved son?
My family. My hand was on the gate's latch as I went to pray, but paused at the sound of these suspicious whispers. Tell me what happened. I'm no stranger to grief.
Dear Eurydice, I will tell you. I've learned that the truth's path is always better when it's straight. I ran with your husband as his guide to recover the ruins of the unburied corpse. We prayed to Zeus for forgiveness, poured gentle libations on the mangled body and buried its tattered remains. And then we left to free Antigone from her dark tomb. Almost there, we heard a familiar voice cry out from below, and Creon ran ahead to follow it. And I heard him. His voice rattled my soul. Oh, terror! Am I made a prophet by this grief? I know it is my child's voice. I know it anywhere. We ran after him, and he screamed at us. Rip out these nails! Shatter the floor! Is it my Haman? One by one, our eyes fell upon the horrible scene. Hanging by her neck from a brittle rope was Antigone. Your son still hung to her clothes, mourning the loss of his bride. And Creon stumbled toward him and whispered, "Let her go, my son. Let go of her. Come to me." He pled with all his grief and insanity, begging his son to stay with him. But Haman looked into his father's face, his eyes wet with hatred. He reached for his weapon. There was nothing left inside him for that. The ill-fated son turned his suffering onto himself, and engulfed with pain, he drove that flash of silver deep into his flesh. With his final breath, he clutched at Antigone, and his red blood gushed onto the lurid blue of her cadaver. I've seen a pile of corpses. He reached for her on death's shores, and on death's shores they are married. Or maybe they weren't. Maybe this is all we get. All she was given. This is what I've seen.
Our queen has left without a word. What could that mean?
Perhaps she's gone to weep in private, as women used to the twists and turns of grief's journey often do. She wouldn't do anything foolish.
silence worries me.
She may be hiding something. I'll go after her.
Creon, with proof on his face that this is all his doing.
My Haman. My fault. The hand of the killer and its victim from the same house. It was not your foolishness, but mine that took you from me. Cruelties of untaken counsel.
A lesson learned too late. It's all too late.
I am an animal stabbed into the earth through the neck, and a mad god pounds both his fists against my head. I will never feel joy again. He has taken it with him.
You hold trouble in your hands, but there's more behind this door.
What could possibly be worse than this?
Eurydice's dead, with fresh wounds.
No, she's not. She's not.
She's
Please.
behind this door.
I am over. I have no more fate. My wife and my son gone within the hour. Zeus, you shove my head underwater and push your fingers through my eyes as I thrash and choke. Have I not suffered enough? Is this much suffering even possible?
The death of her ill-fated son, she cut her own throat and killed her light, and as I crouched over her, she whispered your name. Child killer, she said. He has taken everything from me.
If you have an ounce of human empathy, you will kill me. Please, I beg you. Any of you.
All of them dead by your hand.
Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? She's dead.
She lived her last moments in horror. She drove silver through herself.
I am over. Will no one destroy me?
If fate is friends with justice, you'll live to be an old, crumpled man.
I pray on my knees for death.
There is nobody listening.
I know. They'll have to drag my body from this room. I've killed my son. I've killed my wife. And I've killed you. Strength. No such thing exists in this world but misery, and everything I touch recoils from me. I am a man most horribly blind.
The most important part of happiness is good discernment, with which he must not disdain the word of the gods. The arrogant pay for their big, proud words with great downfalls, until they meet at the end with wisdom.
Delia, oh Delia, Delia all my life. If I hadn't shot poor Delia, I'd have had her for my wife. Delia's gone, one more round, Delia's gone. I went up to Memphis and I met Delia there. Found her in her parlor and I tied her to her chair. Delia's gone, one more round, Delia's gone. She was low down and trifling, and she was cold and mean. Kind of evil make me want to grab my submachine. Delia's gone, one more round, Delia's gone. First time I shot her in the side. Hard to watch her suffer, but with the second shot she died. Delia's gone, one more round, Delia's gone. But jailer, oh jailer, jailer, I can't sleep, 'cause all around my bedside I hear the patter of Delia's feet. Delia's gone, one more round, Delia's gone. So if your woman's devilish,